Hey there, guys. It's Liam from the Bad Taste Buds, here with a very quick announcement before we start today's episode. I'm here to tell you about a brand new competition that we are running on our Instagram page. As of the 12th of July, we'll be giving away a Blu-ray edition of Adam Wingard's Kong vs. Godzilla, as well as a little figurine of the Scaly Boy himself. It's one of those pop vinyls. They're really cute. It's still in its original box for all you collectors out there. All you have to do to enter is make sure you're following us at Bad Taste Buds Pod at Instagram. Make sure you like the giveaway post, which you'll be able to see pretty clearly because it'll say giveaway all the fuck over it. And make sure you tag at least one friend in the comments below. You can enter the competition as many times as you want. Each new tag will gain you a brand new entry. Winners will be announced on the 1st of August. So make sure you are entering and you make sure you're telling your friends to enter too. With all that said and done, I hope you enjoy the episode.
It's alive!
How do we know she is alive?
I hate when people talk during the movie. No wire hangers ever! You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Relax. It's all in bad taste. You're,
It's like a big trail
you're
thing.
fully not even on the mic.
Hang on, are we recording?
I mean, it's recording.
Yeah.
I don't really know if we're going to use any of this,
Right.
but it's
What
recording.
the fuck is a camera?
Giant tail
It's a
kaiju.
giant turtle.
I like what else is there? What can we pick from? Actually, I like the moth. Can I just be the moth still?
Mothra is a good shout, yeah.
She was
Mothra is friend
cool.
to the people, yeah. She's
Oh, there's a
She
big
was
fucking
cute
dragon.
too.
I think it's
Nah,
I think it's
I
like a
wanna be a moth.
robot-y dragon.
I want to warn
Ah.
everyone right now before we start. I'm planning to be extremely irate during this entire fucking movie. Like, I want to put this in motion now.
Does that mean I can go home then? Because that's all I've got. Irate is my
You're-
only setting.
I'm taking it from you that I'm the irate one. I hope everyone brought their fucking spit guards because I'm going to be ranting several times
I can't
during
believe
this
it.
experience.
My memory of this isn't praiseworthy.
Oh, fuck. It's going to be... well, last week we did a fun one, so I feel like I have to balance it out with a shit one every now and again. Like, just a completely banal, painful experience for you, just to keep you in your place. Just so you know where you
This is
fucking
my
belong.
house.
Just so you know you're trash.
150 minutes of soul destroying.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bad Taste Buds, the podcast where we talk trash about your favorite, best, worst films. And sometimes we also talk trash about films that no one would ever call their favorite. Like, this is one of those films.
Nah, there's some weirdo out there.
We are covering...
I know that weirdo, actually, but we'll get to that.
We are covering Roland Emmerich's Godzilla. Yeah, nobody's favorite best worst film. And you know what? Sure, fuck it. It's been nearly 25 years, but I'm still pissed off about this. Like, I remember seeing this when I was just a sprog, just barely a tadpole, and remember hating the fuck out of this. This wasn't one of those occasions as a kid. You know when you like bad things? I mean, I think immediately about Van Helsing and the conversation we had at uni.
Oh, soul
We were like,
destroying.
that's a good film, right? This
Oh.
was never a good film for me.
No, never a good film. Although I did see my parents bought the DVD and we watched it.
I have no memory of this film. It doesn't mean I haven't watched it, but if I did, I was 4, and clearly what an impression it made.
I was going to say, it'll all come flooding back to you
My
once we start.
parents weren't ever, I would say, Godzilla type watching people.
Oh,
so
you
this
saying
of
was,
course they
this was
weren't.
never sort of in
You
our
saying-
repertoire of films that we watched.
Are you trying to tell me that Hannah and Martin Curran don't watch
Hannah and Martin Curran.
What's your dad's name?
Martin Curran,
Martin
yeah.
Curran, but my mum is not called
Oh.
Hannah. I am.
Oh, shit. Whoops. Karen. I'm sorry,
Karen.
I love you, Karen. You're a G. You're an absolute legend. Absolute G. Yeah, we are going to cover Godzilla. But you know what? I refuse to call it that. I'm going to refer to it as its preferred nomenclature and just call it Zilla.
Zilla.
Because there is nothing godly about this piece of shit.
Nah. I mean, it's
Dude.
godly awful.
Yeah, and obviously, as always, I am joined by our very own queen of the monsters, Hannah, over there.
Mothrana.
Mothorana. Hey!
It's
How long
still
did
shit,
you-
and it took me far too long
I was
to
going to say,
think.
how long have you been sitting on that one? And joining him, we have her very own king of the monsters, Jack.
I assumed I'd be the mad scientist, but let's go with that, okay?
You
That's
can be the
fine.
mad scientist if you
I
want.
was
But
just gonna...
if you'd rather be a mad scientist over
Now,
an
all
actual
you are
king
is
of
an
monsters.
accessory
Do you
to
wanna-
Hannah.
Do you want to try that one again? Because I think I've got one for that.
Okay, yeah. And joining her, we have her very own king of the monsters, Jack.
No, I meant the mad scientist.
Oh,
come
sorry.
on.
Where do you want me
Ryan's
to go?
keeping all of this
Where do you want me to go from?
Wherever you like.
Most of it.
Yeah. Wait. What am I doing?
Introducing Jack the Mad Scientist.
Yes, that's right. And joining
We've
her,
already lost our minds.
joining her, we have a mad scientist. Joining her, we have the mad scientist of the group, Jack.
My God, what have we done?
What have we done? What are we doing here
I
today?
vote. Yeah, what are we doing here today? It's already, at the time, it is
On a Friday.
7:30. This
Yeah,
film,
for 3 hours just
this
trying to
film
sell.
is 2.5 hours long, so can we just go straight to trailer talk, please?
No, I am vetoing that. And last but not least,
Wilfred Noyce,
last but
the
not
second
least,
man to climb Everest after Edmund Hillary.
is that who that is?
I think
Jack's
so.
useless fact of the day.
Who could forget dear old Rat Boy? Bart, stop gnawing on the drywall. Yeah, that's all you're getting as far as an intro day, you greedy fucks. Because I'm not excited about this. I don't think any of us are that excited about this, but I do. I was saying to them off mic, we did a good one last week. We're gonna have to.
Mike.
Was that on mic? Was
Off
that minutes
mic.
ago?
Off microphone.
Was that minutes ago? Am I losing my
Your
mind?
moments. 2.5 hours left yet, mate.
I'm a little bit excited. There's that weird hedonistic part of myself that is always a little bit excited to fully, because I like even bad trash.
Well, yeah, if anything, this is going to give you more than an hour's worth of something to talk about.
The Cenobite inside of me enjoys the pain a little bit, like that, like really kind of masochistic level of me where I'm like, I can do anything. I can watch 2.5 hours of nothing but boredom. Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it, do it, man.
So I got a WhatsApp from my sister the other day, and it was just a screenshot from my boyfriend Nathan with, "Tell Jack I can't believe Godzilla 1998 is featuring on his podcast. It's a masterpiece." And then a meme with just a guy going, "What did you see, old man?"
Controversial.
So I know one person that likes this film. So Nathan, I hope you're right.
If you're watching,
I really do.
Nathan,
if you're listening, you need to get better taste in movies, my friend. And
Your word,
I'm calling him out on air.
your brand means nothing, Liam. Your stamp
a
of
good
approval
point.
is worth less than
That's
the paper it's written
That's
on.
a very good point.
What paper?
Yeah, what paper?
But man, yeah, this is going to give you too much to talk about. Godzilla is such a big franchise, and kaijus in general, all the spin-offs and everything that we have. So I don't know. Well done if you can condense this down into
Well,
an hour.
this is the thing. We're going to do a deep dive next week when we do the history of Godzilla episode. So this is going to entirely be based on Roland Emmerich's 1998 film. We're going to try and steer clear of kind of the Shoji era and the Heisei era, which we are going to cover a little bit more in depth next week.
Because me and Hannah definitely know what all of that means.
What all of those words mean.
Yes.
But, yeah, well, for those of you not know, the way the Japanese do it is the eras of Godzilla films. I kind of like this idea. They do it based on which emperor is in charge at the time. So like it was Emperor Shoja. It was like that was the era when they made
Like Godzilla gives a shit which tiny little man is in charge of Japan
I was
at
going to
that
say
time.
Godzilla bows to no fucker.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if we did that. I'd be like, this is the Blair era. This is the Cameron era. That would just not even ring even anywhere near as cool
Yeah.
with it.
Well, it's the Thatcher era of the Wobbles. How would that work?
Just Godzilla fighting a giant milk bottle. Yeah, we are not here to talk about the Shoji era or the Heisei era today. We are.
It's got an image of Godzilla skipping through a field of wheat.
Arm in arm with Theresa May. Yep, today we are not here to talk about that. Today we are here to talk about one thing and one thing only, the 23rd film in the franchise and the first Godzilla film to be produced
This is
outside
the
of Japan.
23rd film.
Outside of Japan.
Yeah, it was from, what, 23?
1998.
Yeah.
It was the
Fucking hell.
23rd film.
Yeah.
It's like Bond.
He's been going for ages,
Fuck.
man.
Yeah.
Back in
And
the
how
days where
many-
they had to use rubber costumes and fucking toy aeroplanes.
So what number are we up to now?
Oh, don't even do that to me. It won't be that many more. So, like, they had a...
Fact check.
There's an animation series that has about three episodes.
episodes.
No, if we talk like just films.
In the Monsterverse, in the legendary Monsterverse, there's 4.
So does this guy come from like some sort of mythology, or is he just like a book, or what?
So-
where was the origins of this guy?
Glad you asked, Jack.
I prepared this earlier. Are you gonna take it, Ryan? You can more than happy for you to take it.
Go on. It's Japanese folklore, and kaiju translates to strange beast. They can be good, bad, anything in between, but generally they are all of divine or godly power.
Yeah.
More often than not, they're fucking massive as well, which, why would you...
Titans.
Yeah, literally, right? It's this
Ruin all the tiny, puny humans.
it's this idea of like a godly being, and I think one thing that this film categorically gets wrong, before we really get into the film, the biggest flaw of it is the fact that it just completely strips that godlike presence out of the monster, and just reduces him to, he's just a big lizard.
Yeah, well, this
Just
this
a
is what
fucking-
gives this film so much trivia to work with, because the director didn't give much of a fuck about Godzilla.
Yeah.
So there's so many things you can pick apart and be like, he clearly didn't care here. No love was put into it here.
It's a running theme, though, isn't it, for bad films? The director just didn't give a fuck.
Didn't
Bad,
give a
bad
fuck.
films.
And
Like,
then-
With the bad
Shyamalan.
films,
Bad
yeah.
film. And then
We'll-
tried to
we're
defend
looking
it
at you,
for
M.
years to
Night.
come. he kept popping off at people on like internet and shit when he didn't like the comments. He's since like apologized to them quite frequently, but man, he fucking tried.
Well, this is it. Like, before we get too far into Emmerich and before we get too far into the actual film itself, what's our history as far as Godzilla goes? I'm looking at you two specifically. Have you before this? What have we
I'm
seen?
never first.
So-
I'm going first.
No, you're not. No, you're
this
not.
is me.
No, you're
No,
not.
because you'll
No, you're
cover
not.
what
No,
the
you're not.
only little slither bits of information we know.
Let them
You
get
start
their
with the
limited
people with the
knowledge out
least
of the way.
information, and then build from there.
Actually watched another film on top of you this time.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah,
Oh,
Hannah,
you
so
can
I need to go first
first.
because Hannah's watched one more than me. So me and Hannah watched Godzilla versus King Kong,
Yeah.
which is the 2021,
Yeah.
which was pretty fun,
Yeah.
but so forgettable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
know,
don't
I
don't have
really-
great.
I enjoyed it, but then again, I don't
It's
know.
a monkey fighting a dinosaur.
Yeah, are you
man.
going to have
And then
long-lasting
they team-
memories?
Well, no, it's a monkey
You were
fighting a dinosaur
describing-
fighting a robot
Yeah,
no, but
dinosaur.
You're fully describing the reason that the film is great.
I could have,
Okay.
if you said what's Godzilla versus King Kong about before I went to the cinema, I could have said Godzilla and King Kong fight and then team up to beat the real enemy, which was man all along. And lo
Yeah.
and behold,
Which
it
is-
writes
Well, that's
itself.
a common theme of Godzilla.
That you
though.
will, you're literally describing every
Right.
since
Yeah,
the
'cause it
film.
writes
I was
itself
gonna
and
say,
it's
though, you don't
formulaic.
go into something like that for like a twist.
Yeah,
You don't go like, oh, it's a tiny man in Godzilla. What the hell? Like, it's
So,
just.
I was thinking of the old one with Godzilla and King Kong,
1963.
not the recent one. The
Oh
more
yeah, so
recent-
easy to get
So
to mix
easy.
up on there. Yeah,
The
they
most
look the
recent
same
one.
side by side. You couldn't tell the difference.
So I'm not, and this is a big point of contention in my relationship with Liam, a
Massive
huge
one.
fan of kaiju films.
It's almost broken us up several times.
Massive monsters don't do it for me. I prefer quick thinking and like fluid, quick, beautiful movements. So I'm much more of a kind of Japanese hero kind of guy.
Whereas I find there's a lot of beauty, especially in the early ones. Like, we just watched the original 1954 one quite recently, and there's something quite honest and earnest and adorable about and wholesome about the guy in the suit movies. that
It's
I,
the
I
guy
do
in the suit I
genuinely
like.
miss.
They are good, but the modern CGI ones, I did like them. I like the monsters fighting. There was a bit better paced, if not dark and unseeable. But I could have done without all the other shit. Give me a movie with just those two fighting, make it like 45 minutes. Don't even make a movie.
It's not a movie at that
That's
point.
all. I'd be happy with that.
Sorry, we also saw the one with Bryan Cranston in it. Was that 2016?
That was
or 2015?
2014. Gareth Edwards.
And
yeah.
that one was pretty good.
Same guy who did Rogue One. Same director. Yeah.
It was pretty good. Again, I couldn't watch 23 of these films. I feel like they're all very much of the same.
Yeah, you've got to be a fan, I think, in order to submit yourself to that.
Yeah.
I've always liked that. Like, I think it comes from a place of Jurassic Park being one of the first films I've ever watched. Not a kaiju film, in its defense, but it's a giant monster movie still, regardless. That's kind of one of the films that got me really nerdy about films. Like, I've always been horny for giant monsters.
Yeah, man.
I'm just going to put that
Well,
out
if it
there.
makes you feel better, Jurassic Park's well on its way to making a kaiju at this point.
I mean, the last two, like the fucking Indominus Rex, may
I've
as well
actually
be,
seen
right?
the last one. I
Oh,
saw
you
the
haven't.
first one of
Proud
the
of
most
you.
recent series, but not the last
You're
one.
probably better off
That's
jumping
most
in when you
recent one.
have seen something.
Yeah.
But then I'd never talk.
Yeah, no airtime.
I'm
It's
actually...
like that's like saying, "Have you seen this cat?" and ringing up and telling them no.
Not like this guy.
My introduction to kaijus, I mean, I'm actually a massive fan of the current MonsterVerse. I think they're getting the spirit of the old Shoujo and the Heisei era pretty accurately in that it's... And a lot of people complain about the human drama that's involved, like the fact that 40% of the movie is dedicated. But that's always been Godzilla. It's never been interesting. You've kind of just got to put up with that. And even Toho, the company that's always produced Godzilla, they're kind of fans of the current MonsterVerse as well, which I think is really cute, that they had this kind of massive disappointment when Emmerich came out with the 98 version.
Massive. The guy who played Godzilla in the rubber suit left the movie.
Yeah, so
just
he was-
like, this is shit.
the
This is
actor-
not in the spirit of Godzilla.
The Godzilla actor left the screening and was furious when the 98 version came out. Fully fucking furious.
Did he wear the suit to the screening?
One can only hope.
One can only hope.
Just Godzilla storming out halfway through a Godzilla film.
But as I said before, like I was introduced to kaijus in my teenage years. I watched Emmerich's Godzilla when I was a kid. But I didn't have that wide-eyed fascination that I did with something like Jurassic Park. As you expect, a lot of kids have really low taste levels. This was always something that I knew was fully shit because it's... But I've not seen it since I was a teenager, but I know for a fact it's dull. Like, all of that energy, all of that cartoonish campiness that you expect from two monsters fighting is just non-existent. Entirely because Emmerich's not a fan. He even said he wasn't a fan.
See, that's probably the worst thing you can say about a film like this, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Like, out of everything, you can say, "Oh, it doesn't have a story." Like, well, what were you expecting, really? Like,
Yeah.
ground zero of the best thing you've ever
Well, this
seen.
is
Like, it's going to follow a path that you know it's going to follow. You can see the end before you go watch it, but you're there for the ride. So if it's dull to watch two giant monsters fighting, the fuck were you doing?
What the fuck were you doing? In the Japanese version, there's a whole host of rules that Godzilla needs to follow. Got to have 3 rows of teeth, like 3 toes, or no less than 3 toes.
Don't get Godzilla wet. Don't feed Godzilla after midnight.
Well, it's like you only eat fish, you can't eat people. But then Roland Emmerich came along and was like, "Here's a thing of Godzilla things that are like Godzilla." Blank page. Do whatever the fuck you want, and this is what we got.
Didn't meet the specifications.
Someone said this was the worst case of corporate inadequacy in the last 20 years of their fucking career.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're absolutely right. Like, it's studio interference. But they had an absolute nightmare because production for this began about, I think it was like 5 years earlier in like 93, when the company TriStar, who were working quite closely with these 2 screenwriters, Ted Elliott and Terry Rosso. They planned a draft for a trilogy of Godzilla films, and they were originally intending to have the guy who directed Speed, Jan de Bont, as the guy who was going to direct it. He's a fan. This is it. He's a massive fan.
What a name.
Jan de Bont. Yeah, good for him.
But the sequel, don't give anything away about that until
What's
the second
the
one. Let's not spoil this movie for Hannah and Jack.
I won't say anything. He was the guy who was meant to pitch it, but they had this big, long battle with Toho. I think it was like 10 years they were trying to get Toho, the production company who have the rights to Godzilla. They just kind of wore them down. It was actually Henry G. Saperstein. He's the producer. He worked with Toho for years in the 60s. And he was the guy who just kept going on and saying, look, there's definitely an audience for this in America. I promise you this is never going to fail. Americans like stupid giant monster films as much as you guys. And then, weirdly enough, a little bit of a sad story. Saperstein, who tried for decades and decades to try and get an American Godzilla film, died the same year.
Just didn't even before it started.
I don't know whether it's bittersweet or not that he didn't get to see how bad this film was, or sad that he didn't get to see it. Yeah,
probably a good thing.
Apparently, though, I'm going to get the country wrong. It's either Sweden or Switzerland. It begins with an S. Read.
Thank you for clarifying how stupid you are.
This is. Apparently, this was the Godzilla introduction to one of the. So this is one of the biggest known and most renowned Godzilla films in that
Sweden
country.
Or Switzerland.
One of them. I'm going to go Sweden.
Do the boats in that country have barcodes on?
I'm laughing, but I don't understand.
I don't get it.
So they can Scandinavian.
Jesus
And that's everything to Bad Taste Buds this week. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week.
But we're trashing this and calling it a complete failure. However, this was the most successful foreign adaptation of a film until the 2014 Godzilla came out, commercially anyway.
But what does that say? Again, we're talking about live action adaptations of foreign films, and apart from horror films, like the J-horror craze that happened in the early 2000s, I'm struggling. I think obviously we
got a lot of anime as well. That's terrible.
We had shit like Old Boy, like obviously Korea got quite a few. The remake fucking wasn't. Don't start with
that.
that.
I've not seen the remake.
No, they made an remake for a horror film in America. That was terrible.
Well, again, the Asian horror cinema was the biggest one I can think of. So
Yeah,
of course,
Shudder.
the big blockbuster's going to take the bank until obviously Gareth Edwards came along and kind of saved the franchise with 2014's, which I absolutely adore Gareth Edwards' version. I think it's very dark. I think it's very, very brooding. It's very scary. It has that kind of intense, foreboding, like it puts the monster and the god back into Godzilla, I think. I don't know how you guys felt
It's a
about
lot more
Edwards,
fearsome. I mean, he has radioactive breath. That's a lot more terrifying than what we're going to be seeing this little T-Rex from Jurassic Park in 10 minutes.
Because the last Godzilla film I see the last Godzilla film I watched. I've watched 3 in the past month, and I'd never watched one before. But the most recent one I watched was Godzilla. Is it King of Monsters?
Yeah, the Michael Dougherty one. I think that's the one with Ghidorah in.
Yeah.
3-headed golden dragon.
I think that one's my favourite one so far. That was mint.
It's silly, it's stupid, but it's everything you want from a Godzilla film. Like it's that kind of you stand up in the cinema and scream at the. I was saying this,
bro, I'm getting that monster, bro.
I've just come back from London to see Tom at the Warm Tins, and we were talking about King of the Monsters, and he literally, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this tonight, he literally stood up midway through the cinema, and I think it was the scene where Godzilla like rips Ghidorah's head off. He like audibly screamed, "Rip his fucking head off!" like right before he did it. And I think he almost got kicked out of the cinema because, of course, he did. But yeah, Saperstein, he was this big kind of famous producer in the 60s. Didn't end up getting to see his dream of Godzilla in Hollywood come to fruition, so that's kind of a sad story, I guess. Yeah, Jan de Bont, the original director, he was brought into that in 1994, but again, just massive disputes with the production house Columbia and Sony. Basically, he was saying the budget was far too much. I think he was asking for a budget of around 100 million. So that was scrapped. The original script was scrapped. The original script was meant to be a very stereotypical two monsters, two giant kaijus fighting script, which is kind of what you expect going into a Godzilla film.
It was like, nah.
And then they got rid of de Bont. They didn't really know what they were doing. They were in development hell for a while. And then a little movie called Independence Day came out and kind of changed the game.
Never heard of it.
I didn't want to do this.
Never
on my
seen it,
own.
to be fair. Legitimately haven't seen it.
You are gonna. This is gonna make a lot of people angry, but I'm kind of ready for it because Independence Day ID4. I don't know how you feel, Ryan. Is one of the best movies of all time.
Well,
Like of all time.
I haven't revisited it much.
It's a very strong opinion
I
to
love
agree with
Will
there, right?
Smith. I love Jeff Goldblum, obviously, and the president,
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman, obviously exceptional. But I don't remember fuck tons about it. I remember there's a hick family in the trailer. There's a under bridge scene where some family hides from fire, and the White House gets blown up, and some bitch is like, "Take me!" on top of the skyscraper. But again, it's just like, I remember there's long rambling scenes of not a lot happening, and it's just humans running around doing shit.
Running
Basically,
about,
yeah.
doing shit.
It's a film. It's fine.
It's still to this day one of my favorite films of all time, and I will bare knuckle fight anybody that tells me otherwise. So Ryan, be
I
prepared.
might be wrong. I'll
ID
rewatch it.
ID4 is a fucking masterpiece. It's an idiotic slice of American
ID4?
cheese. Independence Day, 4th of July. ID4.
If you've got to explain it, it's not worth an acronym.
It's Independence Day.
Surely.
ID4.
We'll spend longer debating this than it would have got if you just said Independence Day.
Never heard of it.
It's my personal favorite movie president of all time. Bill Pullman really sells that. And again, as one of those, like, it's a goddamn masterpiece. It has no right being in the catalogue of Emmerich films either. His, like, mildly wanky, entirely preachy geopolitical nonsense that he puts in his films. So let's go through this. Like, a little checklist of what has Hannah and Jack seen.
Okay, fire away. Shoot.
We'll see how it goes. So
Quick fire round.
he started with Universal Soldier.
Nope.
Name.
No. Independence Day you haven't seen. We've done that
Nope.
one.
Yeah.
Godzilla you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Nope.
We're
Day,
about to.
Day After Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The Tom Cruise one.
No.
No.
Oh, hang on. No, the day after tomorrow. That's
It's
like...
Jake Gyllenhaal and...
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
No, I'm thinking
I've
of...
seen that one.
I'm thinking of... What do you call
With
it?
Emily Blunt, where he keeps jumping through every
That's-
time he gets killed.
that's
He's
also-
reset.
I'm thinking of War of the Worlds, sorry. Day
Oh,
After-
well, I was well.
I saw Day After Tomorrow when I was a kid, and I thought it was all right.
It's a piece,
But then-
it's a piece of shit.
It-
It's
yeah.
fun. It does not
Again,
hold
I
up.
saw it when I was like 10, and I thought that was
Yeah.
fine. It was quite scary as a 10-year-old.
That's it. If a
then
10-year-old, if you're
what-
thinking that's fine, you're not going to look back on me.
And I remember thinking, how did they fix climate change? What happened again at the end? What was the wanky reason that everything turned out okay in the end?
I think it just goes away. I think it just leaves.
I actually can't remember.
I think climate change just gives up and they fuck off.
I know there's like a scene. Isn't there a scene in it where, like, obviously New York's flooding? There's like a big shark or whale, like, just swimming through.
There's
like...
a big tanker. It's an oil tanker, I think, and it's just floating through the fucking... but
There were some pretty epic scenes in it.
my
but,
favourite
yeah,
scene,
that's
my
meh.
Pretty, yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the most hilarious scenes in any film ever is the scene at the end where there's like this scene where they're all in this library and everything's starting to freeze over and...
I do remember this film, but yes.
Everything's starting to freeze over, and Jake Gyllenhaal's trying to outrun the ice that's slowly freezing behind him. He's
yeah.
just
I forgot
outrunning
all
like
about
ice.
that.
Like
Yeah, so
Fuck
an
you, nature.
entire city freezes in an instant, yet a tiny little fire of books in the little library they've managed to lock a door to stops it.
yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal versus thermodynamics.
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a stupid
Hey,
fucking film.
Jake's always going to win, isn't he?
He went on to do White House Down, which I've not actually seen. It's against
No,
a
me neither.
stupid actioner.
I have.
You're not
You-
thinking of
you are
Olympus
probably
Has
some
Fallen.
shit.
I was about to say, you're not thinking of Olympus Has Fallen, which is the same
May as
film.
well be the same.
No one believed that for a second, just silence.
Another Day After Tomorrow clone with 2012. Remember when that was a big thing? Remember
No.
when everyone was
No.
scared of 2012?
Didn't watch it.
I didn't see
the
it,
year
but yeah.
or the film?
No, but yeah, he directed the year.
He directed 2012.
And another one I know you, Ryan, specifically have a vendetta against is 10,000 BC, which is one of the most
Oh.
Again,
hilarious.
I've never seen it.
It's not exactly a vendetta. I don't care about it enough. It was a Friday night at my friend's house. Family was round. Two families connecting, getting pizza and cake, watching it with my mate. 10 minutes in, like, what the fuck is this? 20 minutes in, this is boring as shit. 30 minutes in, let's just give up.
Yeah, the guy is not exactly known as being an exceptional talent. Yet, again, Independence Day, it's one of those weird little blips on the radar of his CV. Like, this is it's a masterpiece.
It is.
It's a masterpiece.
Massive as well. Pretty much everyone bar you two apparently know of it.
It
And
has
like
one of the most
well-informed.
iconic quotes of any film ever. It's the Bill Pullman, "Today we celebrate our Independence Day." It's one of the most iconic presidential speeches in any film ever, and it's still
If you
kind of
say
gives,
so.
it gives me chills just repeating it. The guy
Kill the aliens with a computer virus.
the guy weirdly has a
Well, that's
similar
not original, though, is it? Or did it stem from that?
potentially
The White House getting blown
They
up
plug
stemmed
in
from that.
yeah, they like plug in a
That cannot be the first film that blew up the White. That's like
No,
a trope
yeah,
in
probably
every
not.
American film.
I think it
Oh,
might
what should we
have
do
been.
to bring the big guns out? I know what we'll do. We'll blow up the White House again.
No, but it's a very good explosion, Hannah.
It is
It's
a very good
It's an
explosion.
exceptional explosion.
UFO green beam.
With this,
boom.
I always refer to him as the German gay Michael Bay. Like, I don't know how much you guys know about Michael
German
Bay.
gay Michael
He is
Bay.
genuinely
Rolls
gay.
off the tongue.
That's not me. That's not me being homophobic. He is actually gay.
Oh no, I had one. But
Did you have one? Did you have something for this?
Schmeichel gay?
Michael
Schmeichel
Gay.
Gay.
But the guy almost has the same career. Like, again, Michael Bay started his career on a massive high. Like, The Rock and Bad Boys are two of the greatest fucking films of all time. And then just did not... As soon as... Again, Michael Bay in 1998 released Armageddon, which I fucking despise, and just released nothing but
it's
shit.
big, but I don't love it. But then it gets to a point where it's like, right, we trust this guy with movies. He knows what he's doing. Have some free reign. They're just like, yeah, I've got budget now. Bang, bang, boom, boom, explosion. Style, no substance.
Yeah, Godzilla 1998 was Emmerich riding that, or surfing that wave of Independence Day fame. They basically said, this thing's been in development hell for about 8 years. We need a guy who's going to deliver the fucking goods. This guy just blew up the White House. He can handle a giant monster film. Let's give him more money than we were originally going to give Jan de Bont. So like, Jan de Bont wanted like 100 million. They gave Emmerich like 130 million to do this. So that would be a massive slap in the face of the guy you fired for wanting too much money. Just seems like I would be pissed.
But it did pretty well, didn't it? Like
did
tripled
okay.
It nearly tripled its budget.
It
didn't
did reasonably well. I think on a budget, so it was on a budget of 130. It had an 80 million advertising budget as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the amount they
Was it huge,
advertised it, like, it was huge when it was first coming
Yeah.
out.
Didn't like a bunch of money get spent on like products and all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
But how much is that
Hair
made?
gel for the
back?
T-Rex.
Thing is, you say T-Rex.
Well, probably a lot because it was shown the year before and a lot of people anticipated it and wanted to get out to see it. So before people realised it was shit, it probably got quite a bit in. And
Yeah.
obviously, like, because it's the first Godzilla that's been transported over to a foreign country, you have a lot of people who haven't seen the Japanese versions jumping
Apparently
on.
did reasonably well in international.
Reasonably
markets.
so.
Like,
Reasonably so.
yeah.
But I mean, it did rush as well with CGI. They just got it out to a lot of cinemas, and the CGI was terrible, and people just absolutely like exploded about it. And I think they had to, like, recall and like resend it back out with updated. They've updated it for the Blu-ray edition anyway. I know that.
Well, there's a painful over-reliance on CGI. You'll see that with a lot of like late 90s, early 2000s, like stuff like Catwoman. There's things and Dungeons and Dragons that are like painful. This is
How can you do a Godzilla film without relying heavily on CGI?
Rubber suit.
well,
Kind
they,
of costume, yeah.
they did it for about 40 years.
Aye, when a bat in the sky was a piece of
Yeah,
string and a
when
piece of
everyone
paper.
was okay
like,
with playing that spectacle.
Right, well, riddle me this. I give this to thee, Hannah.
Okay.
Jurassic Park came out 4 years before this and still looks perfect.
Was that animatronic?
They were puppets.
It was a nice blend of both.
Yeah.
As
How,
should
what was
all
the budget
CGI.
for that?
Probably about the same. I wouldn't expect it to be any more than 130 million.
Sorry, just to shoehorn back.
Shoe the
Jurassic
fuck
Park
on.
was 63 million.
There you go.
So made on half the
Shit,
budget.
huh?
Yeah, just-
And Godzilla looks twice as worse.
Twice as worse.
It's
that
all
the right
about
thing
the
to say?
choice. Was I too harsh?
I was too harsh. And ends up looking 3 times worse somehow.
And we've gone back up to the tree.
I'm not sure which number I want to land on yet. I mean, it's Spielberg, so you got to pay that guy a fuck ton more. But apart from that,
Yeah. Speaking of Spielberg, he warned Emmerich not to do this, didn't he?
Well,
he was
yeah,
totally
well,
against it.
But I just feel like this entire thing was Emmerich trying to get like Daddy's approval.
oh, 100%.
Because it's like, I
100%.
almost imagine this like film set and film storyline where Emmerich goes up to like his big hero that he's loved all his life. He's like, I want to make a movie like you. And he's just like, no, you will never be like me. So Emmerich fucks off and be like, I'll show you, Spielberg. I'll make a dinosaur movie too. And it's going to be huge. You will see.
What everyone
And then
was
Spielberg
flops.
just goes, look what they need to do to make a fraction of my power.
Fraction of my power.
This is it. You're 100% right, Ryan. Like, this guy was. It's almost a Mac and Me situation where he deliberately
It
emulates.
was great.
He emulates scenes from Jurassic Park where if you remember Jurassic Park reasonably well, you'll say, well, he just pulled that straight
Is there a
from it.
wobbly glass of water?
The one that sticks in my mind is the people in a car running away from a giant dinosaur with the dinosaur in the rearview mirror, like in Jurassic Park. But again, everything they did to Godzilla in this film was in a bid to emulate Jurassic Park. It was in a bid to emulate Spielberg. They really, really sized him down. They took away all of his cool fucking powers. They made him just a giant lizard. And again, I don't want to spoil this because Hannah, you almost had this spoiled
Please
for
don't
yourself.
spoil this.
But there was another big Jurassic Park moment where it's just, this is the same movie. You're trying to do Jurassic Park.
Well, that honestly, if I could, I would rather just see what the Bond would have done with this.
I would have loved to have seen what the Bond did, because again, he seems like someone who genuinely loves the film and the series that it came from. Whereas when Emmerich got in, because the script that they had for the Bonds, he looked at it, said it was trash, because he literally says, "I think two monsters fighting is silly. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
In the bin. I'll write my own."
Oh, it would have been so good as well. Like, 'cause he was with the Stan Winston Studios, and they did like the effects for Predator and Alien, like the practical effects.
wow.
We almost got.
I know those films.
We almost got a Godzilla film that could have been half decent in the 90s.
How sick would those? Godzilla would have looked like Godzilla, right?
Yeah, he would have looked a hell of a lot better than the weird mutant.
I'm just thinking like
radioactive
a 500-foot tall xenomorph.
lizard. Could you imagine? Currently, this sits on a pretty measly 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think the audience score is somewhere around 20%.
It's got a middling sort of 5 on IMDb. It's got
I wondered
a
about this.
aggressively mediocre 5.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
literally,
There's something aggressive about that 5, isn't there? Like when you see a 5, you're like, ugh.
You're not bad.
What's that
You're not
doing?
good.
Aggressive.
You're just nothing.
I know I trust a 5 less than I trust a 3.
Yes,
Yeah,
literally. So
100%.
3
It's
might
that
be
spark,
contentious.
like, yeah.
I think Dungeons and Dragons is a 3, which again makes sense, and I would much rather watch that.
much rather. But I mean, there's a film spin-off of this, Son of Godzilla, and anything that has Son of, like Son of the Mask, you know it's going to be terrible.
Is that a spin-off of this, or is that a spin-off of the? I thought that was a Shoujo era film. Or am
No,
I
not a
complete-
spin-off of this. I meant like Godzilla.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
It's spin-off of Godzilla, and
I'm pretty sure that's a bad one as well, from what I remember.
it's still higher than the one we're about to watch. It's 60% on Rotten
Yeah, I think
Tomatoes.
Son of Godzilla is meant to be the low point of like the original era
But
of
what
Godzilla
are the lore
films.
implications of Godzilla having a son? Does that mean there's a lady Godzilla?
It must
or does
be.
it mean Godzilla is a woman who happened to have eggs gestating?
Might
What's going on
reproduce
there?
asexually.
Maybe we'll find out in this film.
Mitosis. It just fucking
Mitosis.
splits in
Maybe
half.
it shits out a baby every now and then.
Understandably, when this released, Toho were severely pissed with the final product. Like, they went to every single length to kind of distance themselves, going so far as to releasing their own film a year after, to be like, no, this is what Godzilla's like, ignore that one, don't fucking, just look at this one instead. We've made a much better film in a much shorter span of time. It took them 8 years to make this bullshit. It took us one to do, well, no, so 93 to 98, I'm not a mathematician, Hannah.
It's still not far off,
It's
right?
not far
5
off.
years.
I think they only got a year in actual
Half a
production.
decade. They spent their life
Half
on
a
this
trying to get
shite.
this done. But yeah, Toho went to the point of making a film called Godzilla Final War, where they officially stripped the Emmerich Godzilla of the name Godzilla and reintroduced him to the series as Zilla,
Literally
only
just
to have
Zilla.
him die 5 minutes into his screen time by being smacked into the Sydney Opera House by Godzilla's tail and just completely obliterated. So they brought him back just to
Literally,
kill
they
him.
were pissed off. Godzilla jumps, literally smacked by the tail, and it's just like breath of fire. Dead. It's just been an
Sorry,
explosion.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my knowledge of the Godzilla, the Shoujo, and the Heisei era, I'm a bit of a layman for it. But by the time you hear our history of episode next week, I will be. I'll either be an
experts.
expert or a raving lunatic after
I
watching
was saying
20.
you might be sexy.
20 odd
I'm
hours.
literally worried they're all going to blend into one long experience and just be a massive acid
Yeah,
trip.
I ordered that beautiful Criterion edition, the 140 quid I dropped on a Criterion edition of it. So,
I'm glad I'm only finding this out now when I'm on air.
but before we do the good stuff, we've got to get through this shit. And there's only one way to do that. We are going to go do a little bit of trailer talk. We're going to go put the film on very shortly. So if you are watching along with us, which why the fuck would you be? You can find Godzilla 1998 on Amazon for about $3. I'm spending money on this
You have
shit.
to spend £4
I'm spending
on
money
this
on
film.
this shit.
Is it?
Yeah. Join us in a couple minutes after we do a little bit of trailer
I
talk,
love
guys.
how I rate about £4 on this film, where he's just spent 140 on the 20 previous one.
All units, this is 7 November Golf. The target's heading right at us. He's too fast.
Size does matter, apparently.
What a shitty tagline, though. Like, it was actually taking the piss out of in the film Small Soldiers. They released a trailer where there's a bunch of, like, the toy soldiers and they're tying up dinosaur and they're like, size doesn't matter. Like, it was just mocked throughout because
Just
it was such a but all of the things were like that. But could you imagine, like, coming away from that, you've spent 5 years, apparently, like, doing this film, looking into it, like casting for it, all of that sort of stuff, and you come away from it and you've just spent like all your time on that, and it's this.
Yeah, man. Toy Soldiers isn't even the only thing to reference it. Like, they were going to do a sequel, but then when that flopped, there's another film, Godzilla film, that came out, and they were like, oh yeah, there was a giant monster attacking America, and they were just taking the piss out of it. But there's quite a few things that have picked up on this and made it just a joke, just a one-liner, just because it was that bad. They wanted to throw it in. You gotta wonder what the fuck the cast
I
was
love
up
how
to.
someone shouted, "He's too fast," and then every clip of Godzilla was so slow.
Yeah.
But also just like turning photo negative as if it's fucking edgy and like, ooh, photo negative.
Edgelord moment. But again, like piggybacking on your size does matter comment, I love the fact that the tagline is size does matter, and yet they made a film with the smallest Godzilla in any of the films. Like, if it matters, then make a bigger Godzilla. He's tiny. He's literally ridiculed for being the smallest of the Godzillas.
They said size matters. Just say what size?
He's just got a big dick out. Literally, this is just America swinging their dicks about again.
But
being
poorly.
like, we have power, we can chase down Godzilla.
It's like they get
We're
it's like
mighty.
they
That's what it was.
No,
It's the size of them. It's the
It's
size
them-
of their guns.
It's them getting their dick out at a dick measuring competition, and their dick being a fucking micro penis. It's like, yeah, look how big this fucker is.
Our
It's
dick might be
nothing.
little, but this dinosaur's even smaller now.
I'm angry.
I
Well,
can
like,
see the visible veins popping out of his
did we even see any? Did we see Ferris Bueller in this? He's in this movie somewhere. I don't think he was.
I wouldn't know
I don't
him.
think he was in the trailer, but he's here somewhere.
I
I
didn't see
do
him.
remember seeing Matthew Broderick, and I watched the trailer 30 seconds ago.
Yeah,
Hot off the
man.
heels of after he killed those.
Well,
two
they
people.
released this trailer like
What?
a year before.
You don't know Matthew Broderick killed 2 people.
What? No.
Fuck yeah.
Not like a
Accidentally.
not in a Jeffrey Dahmer way. He was
Like
in
a hidden-
he was in Wales, and he was he was being an American driving on the wrong side of the road
Caitlyn Jenner
shit.
did
and
it.
killed 2 people. Like I think it was a mother and a daughter.
Did he do time?
I think he either did time or community service. I'm not sure what. It was like.
Community service.
Well, he's a fucking actor,
Is
man.
ignorance an
man.
excuse for that?
Okay.
As if you're an actor and rich.
This has just ruined Ferris Bueller for the rest of yours forever now.
Macy's just got irate too. The dog's not happy
She
either.
is not happy. There's nothing really to evaluate in this. It's just, you're right, Jack. It's just flash. Very 90s, hyperactive. Yeah, bullshit. There's very little to
I'm
actually
sure I
out.
saw
Yeah,
the
man.
same bit of him stomping that car twice as well in the trailer.
I mean, absolute stamp of approval for any movie. Matthew Broderick looked at like an unfinished screenplay and was like, "Yeah, fuck, I'll
That'll
do it."
do. It's got Matthew Broderick, and then just, I guess, the cast of The Simpsons is the only other
Yeah.
bankable
Yeah, I
stars.
saw War Hank in there.
Hank. What was it? Azaria? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Who just had a
just
weird
went
giggle at the
Hank.
end. Who just had a weird giggle at the end of the trailer that felt quite out of place. But
Nancy Cartwright's in it as well.
Yeah.
Barty Simpson.
Just weirdly casting.
All
The
these
But
Simpsons.
apparently,
people.
so we all need to keep careful eye out because one of them gets on top of the taxi and he slips into Moe Szyslak's voice accidentally.
No.
It's just like 2 words, but let's keep
I
an
want to
eye
see Mo
out.
get stopped by a
Pinnacle of
dinosaur.
the movie
Right.
there.
Let us break for the film, lads and lasses. Let us go put this piece of shit on. We will see you in 2.5 hours because we
oh,
fucking say
Oh,
this.
before we do, bets on Jack.
Oh, yeah, no, right. This is going to be Jack back to falling.
Uh-huh.
This is going to be Jack back to falling asleep. So let's do a little bet. I don't think it's going to take long because it's Friday night. We'll get him really cozy. We'll get him warm. Let's say an hour. I'm going to say an hour.
Nah, I'm just going to keep screaming at him. That's a lot of fish periodically every 5
That's
minutes.
the only line I remember from this
I don't
film.
think anyone remembers from this film.
There's a scene with a lot of fish, and
I'm
that's
gonna
the only thing I
say-
remember.
I'm going to say 2 hours in. I'm going to say he's going to really try. Ryan's going to get bored of screaming at him like 2
Yeah,
hours
probably.
in. And that's when we're gonna lose him. He's going to slip into...
Jack, you
a
should make a bet.
better
You should make a bet for
unconsciousness.
yourself because you
well,
know
no,
you're going to
because
do it.
Can win the bet automatically.
I can just be like, yeah, I could pretend to be asleep or I could force myself to
I know
stay
when you're
awake.
asleep.
All right, Santa.
Say that again, but creepier.
I am already tired.
Then,
But yeah, let's get this show on the road. Join us in 2.5
yeah, man.
hours
Go get your monster-sized mini popcorn out.
to hear us slowly lose our fucking minds. Bye.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do.
That was countdown. Yeah, I've got it.
Have you got it? Can I have it, or are you going to be a dick? Am I allowed my notes, or are you going to be an arsehole? What's going on? Are you going to hold them hostage?
No, this is my copy.
Haven't we suffered enough? No, you haven't got a copy. I didn't print you a copy. You don't deserve a fucking
Post
copy.
movie comments, is this it?
Yeah, it's mine, and it's my fucking comments, and I want it back.
It's not though. You said you were going to do me one, so I've got one.
Well, then read off all my comments and do it as
At the
eloquently.
very least, funeral companies.
Yeah,
are
it's
going
great
to
job.
be
This is what would
making
happen if
bank
Hannah ran the Bad Taste
every
Buds.
time
This is
one-
Hannah's Bad Taste Buds
Every
podcast.
time one of these fuckers start
Just her
tearing shit
stammering
up,
through the shit she doesn't fucking know.
there's a whole line that just says Mayor Abbott.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
And was his aid meant to be Seinfeld?
Not Seinfeld, Cisco.
Obviously.
Kong wouldn't have
hell.
nothing for Clifford the Big
Surrounded
Red
by
Dog.
amateurs. I'm surrounded by one less amateur than I thought I was going to be surrounded
Why
by.
would Kong have nothing for the Clifford the Big Red Dog?
Right now, I was thinking this halfway
Kong
through.
wouldn't have nothing for Clifford the
I was
Big
thinking
Red
this
Dog.
halfway through. Like, what would like ultimate giant movie monster team ups? I would pit King Kong against Clifford the Big Red Dog. I want to see who wins in that situation.
I think we know who wins in that situation.
Yeah, Clifford, right?
So, dog v monkey. I don't know how that's
I'm
going to
going
go
to start.
down.
I know we're kind of waiting on
Paper
Jack, but I
thin,
feel like
cartoony characters.
I kind of want him to
boring
enter
plot
when he's
points
ready.
and boring
Give
characters.
me my fucking notes back! You're ruining all of my fucking setup. Give me my fucking notes, you sea witch.
Is it just one page?
Yeah, no, there's three. I've got the other two. You haven't rescued them.
Oh,
from
well,
yet.
I've got a third of it then.
Godzilla was a boring movie.
How long have you been sitting on that one? Are we just going to go with that?
At least an hour.
Okay, so
I have plenty of time to kill.
I think before we actually get into it, we hit the
Jack's
lights.
just waking himself up at the moment. It's well deserved.
Okay, yeah, so we returned with one less, but Hannah's going to go rescue him.
Why? He's like
Should we give him a
40
round of
minutes of
applause?
this movie.
Oh, he's bringing the dog. Hey!
Welcome.
He survived. He looks unwell.
Just think half an hour and you can go home.
So, Jack, how was the
Welcome
40 minutes of the
back.
film you catched?
Good evening.
I mean, this movie, this is probably the most distracted we've been watching a film.
Let me check my notes.
You're gonna get your
I
notes
took a
ready.
lot of notes.
Right.
All of them notes. I think
Ryan
we should just
fully
let-
got
So-
up halfway through the film
you
and
mind?
made 20 Yorkshire puddings.
Oh,
Jack is desperate to get his opinions
I've
out.
got a lot of notes here, guys. I've got a lot of notes.
imagine you do.
My first note is PG, comma, ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
okay, yeah.
So I saw it was a PG and just went, ugh.
Ugh.
Because obviously, the film starts with someone nuking the Galapagos Islands, comma, nice.
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 And then just classic pitfall of explaining the mythos and ruining the mystery of the monster.
Thing is, none of this was
Thank
actually
you
in the
for-
film. All Jack's dream.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
There we go, Jack. Yeah, Jack, you can leave the building. You're contractually done for the day.
I think I'm uncontractually done
You
for the
are
day.
just undone.
I-
Yeah.
I barely got through the first hour. Like, I think I made puns within that
Well, at least
first
you watched
hour.
the first film.
Here's the thing.
I
Right,
watched the
wanna-
first film.
Because it wasn't just the puddings. This movie systematically drove each one of us a little bit insane. Drac was asleep. Hannah was, you were screaming, like a lot of the time, just screaming at the TV. Ryan was making Yorkshire puddings. Ryan then locked you in the bathroom because he thought that'd be more entertaining than fucking watching
And
the
it
movie.
was. She just hulked that door down.
She did. You were actually quite desperate to get back in and watch it. Maybe you secretly like this thing.
It's like, what's it called?
Hell.
Yeah, that's...
Hell, no,
Oh,
what-
Stockholm Syndrome.
that's the one.
Yeah, a little bit of Fritzl Syndrome.
Yeah, like I thought I hated it, but I moved away and I needed to be back.
You miss Zilla. You
I
miss
did.
Warzilla.
Oh, was it Godzilla 2 that like got your attention, was it?
The end
Really
of the
get you.
second, just before they
Yeah,
started
second
with the
movie,
third.
That's in the middle of the movie. That's
Yep.
just oh right.
Literally an
Before-
hour.
I was
Right,
about-
I'm going through that.
No, I was about to say, like, should I do a 30-second synopsis, or does this film not deserve one? I feel
No,
like
you
I
need to do 2 30-second
No,
synopses.
30 seconds.
but I feel like no,
synopsises.
I don't feel like that. I'm going to put as much effort into the second half of this review as Roland Emmerich put into making this fucking movie, and that's by not doing a 30-second
Alright, so we're done
synopsis.
then.
It's not
5
Godzilla.
minutes,
It's like
great.
Godzilla but shit.
No, it's not. It's like Jurassic.
It's like
Park.
Jurassic Park
Park with shit.
Basic plots.
You know what?
Basic
I couldn't
plot.
even do a roundup of this because I did not see enough of the film.
Lizard gets nuked. Iguana gets nuked. Iguana then is mutated into Zilla, swims to Manhattan, and then walks around for a long time, and then also
At varying sizes.
Because they consistently lose it.
Well, the varying sizes thing I do want to hit on. So yeah, one of the most disorienting parts of this film is the
You're
fact
not going
that
to finish your synopsis.
Yeah,
It's desperate to be done.
But it is this thing where it's like you look at one scene and the Godzilla might be like 3 stories tall. It looks like he's getting up to one side, maybe like a third of a way up a skyscraper. And then there's a scene right after where he's hugging the Empire State Building, which is 400 feet tall. So is he 50 feet tall or is he 400 feet tall?
And don't
I don't
forget
know.
that in between that, he's just scurrying about the sewage
Yeah,
systems.
just digging.
Yeah, man.
Yep,
Just
Some
just
ways are
burrowing. He's a
massive.
burrower.
He's a
Liam.
oh, do you remember
He's a
that's a good
borrower and
film?
a swimmer.
Should we watch that instead?
Isn't that
Fishmonger.
the borrowers?
Oh yeah, shit, yeah. It's late. I'm tired. Leave me alone.
So they chase him round for a bit unsuccessfully because somehow this giant lizard keeps escaping the fucking notice. They nuke the fucker. They go into the subway, found the fucker's eggs hatch, chased by egg babies. Mama comes back to life after they go
babies.
boom boom to egg babies. Mama go wah. Mama jump on bridge. Mama smash bridge. Mama gets shot.
It's actually asexual, and I feel like you misgendering it is really inappropriate.
But I also
right
feel
now.
like that was a very apt description.
Well, this is it. Like, I think the main takeaway as to why this one fails so categorically is the fact that it's just monotonous. Like, you look at a lot of, like, even the earlier films, all of the Toho films are at least interesting in the sense that they might be, I don't know, there might be, like, androids in it. There's Mechagodzilla. There's things from space. There's pollution monsters. But this almost feels like I mean, harkening back to something like Cats, it feels like a director who's aiming for realism over entertainment. I'm like, you got a giant dinosaur. Stop trying to do realism.
Yeah,
No one
man.
cares about realism. Give me Mechagodzilla.
This was... It's hard, like, this is one of the problems I had because there's so fucking many.
Well,
but
yeah, there's that.
one of the things that stood out problematically for me was the fucking comedy. So, like, this film started off...
That's a lot of fish.
started off so fucking serious, and every line was delivered deadpan serious. This is the army, or fucking all that nonsense.
Yeah.
And then, like, they try a few one-liners, and the only one that Liam fucking got stuck in his head is, "That's a lot of fish."
That's
He
a lot.
hasn't stopped saying it.
That is a lot of fish.
Every time there was a fish. But then it turns from that into fucking a Scooby-Doo cartoon where he knocks over a bunch of
the
balls,
gumball
and then
machine.
a bunch of gumballs,
Yeah.
and 20 dinosaurs just skidding all over the fucking floor.
And you're absolutely right.
Slippity slap, slip slop.
You're absolutely right with dinosaurs, aren't you? Because again, I don't think this would be allowed to classify as a kaiju film. Like, I don't think this reaches the level of like mythical, legendary.
There's no
Those
divine
babies
power there.
With Velociraptor. They just stole the
They were
animatronics
just
from
Velociraptors.
Jurassic Park, just
It
repurposed
was-
them,
Oh,
and shoved them in some
bright
big
side.
eggs.
There was one animatronic puppet of a baby Godzilla that looked pretty good.
Don't call it a baby Godzilla.
It's
Babyzilla.
not. Babyzilla.
But they showed it once, used it once, and then the rest was all CGI, and they had to have like a horde of them.
Well,
I can see why it cost the money it did from
Can you, Jack?
what
Did
I
you
saw
see
of
it?
I don't think I
like,
could.
like the doing everything within the big city and all of the like from the bits I saw. I don't know how bad the CGI got later on, but all but the amount of people on screen at any given point and the amount of props and costumes and blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
set pieces, and blah, blah,
2,000
blah.
fallen fish can't be cheap.
Like I can see where the money went in that department because it felt like a glossy high budget film.
Oh, yeah,
like
man.
in terms of production value, but it just from what I saw of it, there was no spark of joy or energy
Nah.
or passion to
Say
it.
it before,
Maybe
say it
that's it,
again.
Seth.
All style, no fucking substance.
Maybe the budget went on
Mhm.
paying Matthew Broderick's like fucking police tab after
Like, think
murdering
about-
those people.
But they also like they made
It's been more than 20 years. It's past the statute of limitations.
How
for
much
laughter.
did you get charged?
$170. Oh yeah, we found this out halfway through. No prison time, no community service. $175 fine for murdering two. I say murdering. He's not murdering them. He didn't murder them, but they're killing two people.
And then he was
$175.
given 130 million.
Yeah.
Cost
to
of two
create-
lives.
Well, he wasn't. It wasn't his film, But well, again, like harkening back, this isn't a kaiju film. I don't think you could ever like. And I understand why Toho was so pissed off after watching it because it just it does almost spit on everything, the legacy that kind of came before it. With Emmerich saying, "No, I find two giant monsters duking it out dumb, but I'm going to make you sit through 2.5 hours of a giant lizard being chased by helicopters, being lost consistently by helicopters." Like
This was one of my biggest
really bothered
gripes.
you, yeah.
It was so frustrating that you've got to watch a 500. How big was it? Who knows how big he was? It was a big dinosaur.
He was a shape-shifting, size-shifting dinosaur.
Exactly. And they managed to lose him not once, not twice, but consistently for about an hour and a half.
And this wasn't due to anything special. He was rampaging through the city, causing wanton destruction. They're like, oh shit, get me eyes on that dinosaur. And we're watching him tear up a city block.
you have this weird neutering. Like the whole thing is so neutered as well. Like we were saying halfway through, like why is he like skirting around the buildings? Like Godzilla wouldn't care about this. This isn't how Godzilla operates. And there was one scene where he like almost maybe breathed a fireball, but then we were just thinking, no, was that just coincidental?
It's got to be coincidental. But yeah, like he's so fucking agile, rampaging around the city, skirting corners like a motherfucking boss. And then, like when he's directly having to chase a protagonist, he becomes a stormtrooper. Then
can we talk about the scene where the old man fished Godzilla out of the Hudson River?
I personally enjoyed that scene. I thought it was quite a good one.
Where the fishing line went out despite Godzilla coming in.
Yeah, it was like being pulled on, like a fishing line would have been.
There was still issues with every single aspect of it. But it angered me less.
Yeah, well, it was like slightly. We still had some semblance.
This was the opening shot to the city that never sleeps.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Like the pretense there. Well, again, it's just. You're right when you said it was just an exercise in excess. Like there's nothing of substance. There's no character that you latch on.
Who said that?
You did with this whole like.
No substance.
There's no substance because you look at any of the characters and there's many of these heartwarming moments throughout where it's like, is it Audrey? Audrey's going to get her big moment because she went to New York to be a star.
Story.
And it's just like, I couldn't...
News reporter.
I would feel more satisfied if Audrey got her fucking face ripped off by a baby raptor.
Oh,
if at the end, that, like, once they'd killed Zilla...
Which time?
What's his name?
Which time?
The final time, or is it?
Movie 1 ends the first time Godzilla gets killed. Movie 2 begins with the babies.
Yeah.
Movie 3 when she dies, right? And
Godzilla's
what's his name? The main guy, Ferris Bueller, walks up to her,
Ferris Bueller,
right, and stands next to her jaws. If she'd have opened them and as a last dying act had gobbled him whole, 10 out of 10 would have been worth.
Would have been worth price of admission. Yeah, you would have been satisfied.
Movie proposal: the baby Godzilla puppish gets out, and it's the only egg there, and then they've got a little baby King Kong locked up in a science experiment place somewhere. He gets free, and it's baby kaijus at each other. It would have been way better than this.
Yeah, I mean, anything really would have been.
Some of Godzilla was better than this.
I like how much of a bitchy little queen Roland Emmerich is as well. Like, I didn't realize this about him, but obviously, I think did we comment on this in part 1 about the Roger Ebert character that's in this?
Oh my god, all that shit. Well, it's both of them.
Sorry, this is due from both of them.
Well, it's both of them.
But it's mainly Ebert.
So Ebert plays the mayor.
So for those people who don't know, Roger Ebert and Cisco, back when they were reviewing a lot of early 90s films, they reviewed, I think it was Universal Soldier they reviewed by him.
Not wrong.
And they basically slated it, saying it was an absolute train wreck. And I think Universal Soldier is really fun, but he really took this to heart. So there's a character in this film, if you haven't seen it, called Major Ebert. Major Ebert. Mayor Ebert, and I swear to God, like the level of buffoonery, like he may as well be wearing a red nose and fucking 9-inch clown feet.
Even down to the final scene where he's like, "No, we're going to cash in on this," and they're like, "No, sir, it's a bad idea. I know, fucking best. I got everyone killed."
Oh my God! But it's such a petty moment because his advisory does this thing where he turns to him and gives him like a thumbs down, and that's such it's a direct reference to how Ebert and Cisco used to do their movies.
They use the thumbs up, thumbs down method of
rating, and it's just this petty little queen moment where Emmerich is like, I made you look like an idiot in my movie.
What he's done really is portray someone that he doesn't like giving a thumbs down to his movie,
which is shit, which is fully dog shit. Yeah,
shit. He can go back and critique that and be like, the only ray of sunshine's entire movie was the guy that played me.
Well, I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not a massive fan of Ebert. If I'm being honest, I think he was always quite a pretentious guy, but he was totally fucking right on this one. Absolutely. I do love how the very first scene in the film is Zilla just fucking up a Japanese fishing boat as if it was this like big allegory for how Emmerich fucked up this Japanese franchise. It was like, fuck you, Japan.
I think that's the only way they tied in with Godzilla, though. If they'd cut that out and you didn't ever call it Godzilla,
you wouldn't know.
Because the fact that it started in Japan, you got that weird video of a guy who I assume saw him and they
he was radioactive, wasn't he?
Is that what they were doing with the flame?
It was a Geiger counter, right?
Yeah, Geiger counter.
There was a flame, but I'm not sure what the crack of that was.
So literally, it doesn't matter if anyone survived Godzilla. If they were in proximity, they're getting cancer anyway.
So the entirety of New York's dead then?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Not that anybody cared, because people were still just doing their own little thing. A dinosaur had destroyed half the city.
Just cracking on.
There was a lot of fish, though.
There was a lot of fish.
There was a lot of fish.
Fishmonger, good time to be around. Like,
well, yeah, it's just, again, it just feels like it's such a non-movie. Like, that's probably the best way to describe it. It's like a movie is somehow 2.5 hours, and yet nothing really happens. Like, it's just scenes of...
There's 3 whole movies in that, Bang for your buck.
It's just scenes of people bitching, and then scenes of Godzilla being chased by helicopters, then scenes of people being bitches again, and then scenes of people being chased by dinosaurs. It's a cycle. It's just a cycle of the same 3 fucking scenes over and over again.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It just felt really formulaic, whereas a bit of you don't see Godzilla, but he just starts fucking stuff up, then people go, oh, what's going on? And then see where Godzilla fucks himself up. Oh, what's going on? See where Godzilla fucks himself up.
Yeah, the level of
repeat.
incompetence.
Like all of the talky scenes, there felt like there was no interesting dialogue.
There was no humor at all.
It wasn't poorly acted from what I saw either.
It was fine.
It wasn't like any actor gave a proper stinker performance or anything. It was just bland.
The one and only positive.
Matthew Broderick only plays Matthew Broderick.
The one and only positive we can glom from this, Jack saying the actors aren't that bad. Probably the best positive we're going to get from this film. But you're right, like the level of incompetence as well. Like the majority of the time that they're trying to take down Godzilla, it's just Team America. It's like they're just blowing up fucking skyscrapers. It's like, this is Team America.
They had a great plan, just didn't think it through. They were like, it likes fish. Let's get a lot of fish. That's a lot of fish. Then they let it get a fucking way.
I do like how the government reacted in this the same way to Godzilla, how our government reacted to the coronavirus, where they were like, right, back out to work, you essential workers. Don't you still have to go to the pharmacy and do your 5 to 9 to 5 job. Nothing changes here.
Another better movie proposal. The funeral directors rolling around in the amount of cash that they made after this movie.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. Like, it was such a blatant... loveless. That's probably the best way to describe this. Loveless cash grab. Yeah. Whereas, like, you gave this to a guy who we talked on part 1 about the fact that when they came to do the Spider-Man film, they gave it to Raimi because they were like, well, we've got to get someone. Because it was Sony as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Someone who gives a shit about the IP.
Yeah. They I guess at least they learned a lesson. Positive number 2. At least they learned a lesson. I guess. It's just so fucking soulless and trite and dull and obvious. Because we have a format, I kind of do want to go around and say favorite scenes. And I want to start with Jack because he probably has the least amount of favorite scenes. Try your best, buddy. You got this.
I like the P. Diddy song at the end.
Oh, you know what? You were the only one who
His
sat through
favourite part of the film was the
I was
credits.
gone by this point. I didn't even make it that far.
I can't remember the name of the song, but it was like Over the Top of Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. And that was all right.
All right.
That was all right. Yeah.
The very final thing in the movie was all right. Decent tune.
Then the other song was a cover of Heroes by David Bowie as well in the credits.
That's kind of cool.
So, yeah, that was good.
But the rest of the movie was just a copy of the soundtrack from Jurassic Park.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Hannah, but well, for Hannah's favorite scene, I think the whole movie was your favorite scene. I just want to quote you about, I would say, like an hour and 30 into the film, where you turned to me and said, "I'm just so annoyed at the blatant lack of respect for any of the heroes in this film." That was my favorite scene, is watching you say that. That was my favorite scene. Do you have one, or are you just dead inside?
Do you know what? The one where I was just like, I think it's my favourite because at that point I gave up. I just didn't care anymore. Was when the dinosaur was behind the helicopter.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to call it Zilla. It doesn't deserve any of it. It was a shitty dinosaur, right? And it came up behind this helicopter, and then it disappeared, and they lost sight of it. And then all of a sudden, it was underneath the helicopter.
This dinosaur that is also somehow the size of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, teleports.
Yeah.
Godzilla has powers. He's just not allowed to see them on screen.
Rolled a D20, natural D20 on his like fucking stealth attack.
Stealth attack, yeah, clearly.
And sniped that bugger.
Pew.
Well, he didn't eat him, but yeah.
Ryan?
At one point, I remember seeing red. And I don't even remember what happened. And my mind's totally blanked out.
It was when they decided to bomb the building with all of the baby dinosaurs in.
Yeah, you were so pissed.
And they'd locked a couple of the dinosaurs behind doors, and they'd smashed through these, and the final scene is them running through a pack of what must be about 80 dinosaurs. And they close 2 glass doors, shove a gun in between the 2 doors.
Tiny little pistol.
I was pretty infuriated that entire last segment as well, because you're right, it's just rip-off after rip-off of Jurassic Park. Like, it's the last third of Jurassic Park, down to Yeah, the baby raptors, but then also Godzilla chasing them behind the taxi, like the exact same scene in the Jeep in Jurassic Park with the T-Rex. It's like, if I was Spielberg, I would have sued this fucker.
Nah,
Like,
why even
honestly.
touch it with a 10-foot barge?
Literally, my favourite scene because it's the only one that elicited emotion.
Yeah, I'm here for that. Do you want to guess what my favorite scene is?
That's a lot of fish.
Thank you. You know me so well. This is why I married you. As far as like,
Liam's been possessed with the soul of Godzilla. Or rather,
I think it's the soul of Roger Ebert returning. He's dead. He's fine. Returning to my body to give this film another bad review. I am now, from this point on, Roger Ebert's ghost.
Instead of the disapprove stamp, can we just have a thumbs down?
No, I
on
might
this
do it for that.
one?
I'm going to try and tag Roland Emmerich in every possible thing I can tag him in just to piss him off.
I'm ready for
Final
my
thoughts? Final thoughts?
So,
I've got mine. Go watch Cats.
Hannah was literally saying we were deciding whether or not this is worse than other best worst films. I think it's close to Last Airbender as far as that's the kind of experience I got from this.
I would say Snakes on the Train.
These two weren't here for that. Do something that they
no
understand.
reference there.
I
So
think
with
this
the
was better
ones-
than Snakes on a Train.
With the ones that we've... Jesus Christ, really?
Oh, Hannah, you don't know Snakes on a Train.
Actually, while these two were watching Snakes on a Train, I just got a text from Liam saying, Hannah, I have just watched the last 10 minutes of a guy just throwing up snakes. 10 whole minutes.
Yep.
Final thoughts.
It's from all the cooking you did during the film.
Yeah, you spend more time cooking than watching.
I think I summed this up perfectly when I said all style, no substance. I think
Yeah.
why it did commercially so well is because it did such a good job of tricking people into thinking it was a good movie. Like The Lame Man. Lots of people go into movies, don't bother with reviews. They just say, oh, this is popular. We know what Godzilla is. It's a big dinosaur. Let's go watch the movie. it
Especially-
looks pretty.
But people weren't even that stupid.
I am right in thinking that you did say it came after Jurassic Park, didn't it? Like 4
Yeah,
or so
4
years
4
afterwards. So at this point, you'd had, what, a good 4 years
Well,
after a really good
Lost
film.
Yeah,
World,
there's a
Lost
market
World
for
came
it.
out the year before, so they were still riding the
Yeah,
coattails of
and
Lost World
everyone
as well.
knows as soon as there's a big film and a certain, like, genre or certain type, then a lot of things follow, and every now and then you'll
year's
hit
worth
another
of hype being like,
couple of
oh, here's the
gold
trailers
pits.
early.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they'll have probably been excited. They'll have seen this and been like, "Oh, it'll be good. It'll be like Jurassic Park. They've hit the nail on the head. They know what they're doing."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they'll
I know for a
walked
fact my
into 2.5
parents
hours of that.
have never read a single review in their entire life, and they bought this on DVD. So that's because it looks stylish.
You could dress. I can see how it was dressed up. Why did it rain all the time?
Because Godzilla, there is like a few like Godzilla controls the weather. I don't know, like like a giant storm
So
coming.
they've taken away literally everything that makes
It's 'cause he's
Godzilla, but
radioactive.
now he's also Thor.
Yeah, why not?
Fair
I love how the
enough.
fact that none of the main characters ever invested in an umbrella or a raincoat, despite that it's been raining for about a week.
They had a news segment about will this rain ever stop? Everyone's outside. No, not even the hood.
So,
Getting
Hannah,
drenched.
so you loved it then, yeah? Cool. Jack?
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack
Spot
fell
on.
asleep again.
Jack probably got the best experience. He probably
Yeah.
enjoyed it the most, technically, because he was...
Out of 10, how good was the snooze?
Oh, yeah.
So it started off pretty strong. It was easy to slip into slumber, but by the end of the film, like the last half hour, there was a lot of fireworks, lots of noise, lots of gunfire. I kept waking up, but I didn't care enough to stick with it and try and resume consciousness.
No one
of the
blames
film
you.
and
I'm guessing my selfie with
So-
you didn't help.
Wait, what?
Neither of you look great, so it's fine.
Don't recall that. But yeah, easy to fall asleep, hard to sleep through till the end solidly. So,
I think we start a new
five.
Jack's
We start a new
sleep
segment, Jack's Naps, and just he reviews his naps. Which, to be fair, it's only been 2. He's doing really well. Yeah.
I'm done.
I think
I was like, what the fuck was that?
I know you've done Cats. You would definitely sleep during Cats. but I
Yeah.
think that
Troll
was-
2.
Oh, yeah, Troll 2.
Troll 2, Part 2, 2, Part 2.
The one that
Part
could have
2.
possibly split the friendship
No, it was
between him and Liam.
it was close. It was close, my man.
Touch and go.
My final thoughts. It's a lot of fish.
That's a lot of fish.
No, I do actually want to do something. I want to have a serious moment because this is an insult. Like, as far as we're having fun with this is an actual insult.
Fun.
Well, no, but you're fun ripping the shit out of it.
He
Like,
intended it as an insult.
but then this is
really.
what I mean. I think Emmerich did this on purpose. I think he because he got approached. He told me he didn't like Godzilla. I think this is an insult to the people who like the people who love this franchise.
I mean, they were insulted.
Well-
Down to the people who worked on the original.
I do feel like this is an insult to everyone who ever appreciated any of the Shoji era or the Heisei era or anything
Anything
post
but
this.
this.
Yeah, I think Emmerich did this on purpose. I think this is just a soulless, meaningless cash grab. I mean, you think the best Godzilla films, a lot of people want to view them from this angle of they're just dumb monsters fighting. And yeah, fine, that can be one angle you take it from, but at least they have a lot of heart, at least they have a lot of soul, and at least they have a lot of craftsmanship and love woven into them. This has none of that.
Yeah,
not an inch.
Not a stitch.
The 3 that I've seen, for all I can point their plot points, and we'll go through it on the point 5.
But you
Because
can
I've
tell
got issues.
You can tell they were lovingly
But
made.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
them.
They
I
weren't
sat
boring.
there and I watched the 2.5
Not about that.
hours, and
I think
it
all
didn't
3 of those.
fully feel like 2.5 hours, to be honest with you, for either of the 3.
Well,
But with this one, it felt like
yeah.
2 days.
2 hours every
Well, I
film.
think I think legitimately all 3 of those directors, and I followed those directors' careers for quite a while, like Gareth Edwards, Michael Dougherty, and Adam Wingard. I've been fan.
Someone on this podcast knows that shit.
I've been fans of them since the start. A lot of them are horror directors. Dougherty, in fact, was Trick or Treat. We've all seen Trick or Treat. That's one of my absolute all-time favorite horror films.
Yeah, it's
Hannah's
so
looking at me like she's like never seen that film.
Yep.
They're all massive fanboys. They're all massive nerds. Emmerich wasn't that. He never will be that. He's just a guy who's after money, and it reflects so much in this film. And it's yeah. I think the best way to summarize it is it's insulting.
I'd rather watch Godzilla 5 Dinosaur Jive.
Wait, excuse me, what?
You heard.
Have you just made up a new break into Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, it's
moment?
in my head. I'm envisioning it, and it's better than what I just watched.
Oh,
Like
I'm going to start
Step
using
Up,
that.
but with the Titans.
I think I'm more excited for Godzilla 7 Dinosaur Heaven.
Final nail.
Dinosaur 9 committing a crime. No.
I'm not even going to attempt
Boo.
it.
He's in heaven. How's he going to commit crime?
Do we want to spend any more time talking about this, or are we all
No,
ready for bed?
please. I don't.
Dinosaur 10, all about that Zen. No.
He descended to
I'm
the
just going to
bottom.
end the podcast
None of us
there.
are capable of going on any
I'm going to end the
further.
podcast there on just silence. Just dead white noise.
I was going to start listing things I'd rather be doing. Eating tacks. Sucking on toes. Licking a dog.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you for putting up with this one. If you managed to sit through this,
If you did put
if
up
you
with
were
it,
one of
yeah.
those absolute psychopaths.
I'm
who
sorry,
decided-
Nathan. I really wanted to enjoy it on your behalf. But I
Oh
just
yeah,
couldn't
get him on the
wait.
phone.
Oh
Why,
my
we should have
God,
guest
What
spotted
is
him.
it?
He needs to be lynched.
Jesus.
Finding people.
I'm sorry, mate. I did try. I promise I tried. For 40 minutes or so.
Thank you. If you did put up with this bullshit with us, you're a psycho, but thank you. And if you just enjoyed the episode, that's great too. Don't forget that we have a competition running currently. All the instructions are in our Instagram on our latest post.
Yeah, man.
do check
Don't
it out.
let this movie put you off. The new Godzilla is
We like
worth
them all.
the fucking follow.
And there's a really cute Funko Pop vinyl to go along with it as well. I think I fucked that name up, didn't I?
It is adorable.
Funko.
It's cute. Yeah, thank you for listening. You guys can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Bad Taste Buds Pod and on Facebook at Bad Taste Buds Podcast. Do make sure you check out all of our older episodes. If you enjoyed this and you haven't listened to them, go back and listen to them and give us some love and appreciation on our socials.
Yeah, man. Now go watch something fun to get your sanity back.
That's all for now. Until next time,
It's also.
a lot of fish.
Hey!
I did it. I got a joke right.
Right, what's next?
Well, next week we are doing a history of Godzilla, which is going to be fun. And the week after that, we actually was the audience vote, which I'm actually quite pleased with the outcome because the last two were
You are a good bunch.
the last two were Wild Wild West and Howard the Duck, and they got.
West.
I think they both got about 15 votes each. Like every time someone voted for Howard the Duck, someone would then come in and vote for Wild Wild West.
So
and they
that
both
person
won.
was me.
Jack's just
No.
making
No,
fake
I
accounts.
don't have Instagram, but I was rooting for Wild Wild West.
They're both brilliant.
I waited until it tipped over to 49%,
You know what?
and then I went and voted for the other one.
I've said it before, but I feel like I've seen it because it was on so many adverts for so many of my VHS tapes.
I used to have
was
it
Oh
on
my
a
god,
kid.
VHS.
yeah, I remember
I had so many
those.
VHS tapes, and the advert was always for Wild Wild West in front of it.
Yeah,
I never saw
remember.
it.
I did that
It
a
looked-
lot of mine
it
as
looked
well.
Dope. It looked class from that.
Did.
Okay,
It wasn't.
okay, do you want me to break-
Looked it.
A little bit of a preview. Wild Wild West is going to be a fun train ride that I'm absolutely 100% sure is extremely racist, misogynistic, and homophobic.
Oh.
And
And
ableist.
ableist.
Oh.
Oh!
You'll be taking a trip
The
with Jim
drive-
West, and he's
no.
the best.
What?
The whole the quadfecta of
Contact
bullshit.
it.
But yeah, I'm excited for both of these. I'm really excited for Howard the Duck as well, because this is actually a first for me, and it's been on my must-watch list for a long fucking time. So thank you, everyone.
You've never seen Howard the Duck?
Never seen Howard the Duck, but it's been a must-see for a
Oh.
while. Yeah, do leave us some love, guys. Check back in next week, and yeah, just keep being awesome.
Sleep
And
well.
Sleep.
Good time.
Oh, nice.
That's a lot of fish.
God, nice.
I hate you.
That's a lot of sleep.
Just
Just
realised
keep
I've
it
like,
recording until we just decide to stop talking.
I realised I've sang like 90% of this episode.
Goodbye.
That's a lot of goodbyes.